Explore what these developments mean for the war, diplomacy and Russia's resilience. Joining us to discuss further is Andrei Schwartz. He's a political analyst from Sofia, Bulgaria. Andrei, thanks for joining us on the program.
And thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, Primorsk is a major hub for Russian crude exports. How significant is the damage and what are the possible economic ripple effects, both in Russia and globally?
So from what we've heard up until now, 2 oil tankers have been damaged, as well as a pumping element which pumps oil from the shore onto these tankers. The estimated damage to Russia is evaluated at about $40 million per day. And the pumping of oil onto these tankers happens basically 7 days per week, 24 hours a day. So you can estimate that, within the space of 25 days, you are looking at $1 billion in damage to Russia's exports. And obviously, at this point in time, and for decades, Russia's main exports have been its oil and gas. Ukraine is trying to damage the flow of oxygen, basically, to the attacks onto its soil, onto its people. And this is why it's launching these attacks all around Russia. This is one of the longest distances from Ukrainian territory that Ukraine has managed to hit. We are looking at about 1,500 kilometers from Ukrainian soil at Primorsk, which is, further up from St. Petersburg, lower than Finland, just for folks who do not know where the location is. And obviously, this is the main channel for exports towards the West. This is what Ukraine is trying to impact, and also Ukraine is trying to instill fear into Russia's rulers and to divert some of its resources, financial and military, towards areas which Russia thought are safe otherwise. By diverting these resources, including anti-aircraft guns, it permits for Ukraine to attack other areas closer to its territory as well. And it keeps Russia in track.
Now, Andrei, Russia has announced a pause in peace talks and joint military exercises with Belarus. Are these moves directly linked to the attack, a show of force, retaliation, or strategic repositioning?
A very good question. So Zapad, you've presented earlier the Zapad exercises, and they take place for the first time after the invasion in 2022 of Ukraine. Obviously, many countries are part of these. Russia has been trying to gather as many countries as possible. We've seen the meeting in Beijing with Xi Jinping and with others there. It's part of the same. It's part of the same process, really, that Russia and China are trying to build. And so tens of countries are part of the exercises, which used to be just a Russia-Belarus type of joint exercises for years. Now, these pause in talks, I do not believe it's a result of Ukraine hitting Primorsk. We also have to remember what happened a couple of days ago when many drones went into Polish airspace. And apparently, according to some sources, were about, they were not just wandering around, having lost their track from Ukraine, but rather they were on a mission to hit possibly a NATO facility in Poland, NATO territory. So, some analysts look at Zapad as simply Russia and Belarus trying to instill fear into NATO, and also, try to convince NATO countries that it's damaging possibly to their own benefit to support Ukraine. On the other hand, some others believe, and this is very worrying, the potential that Zapad of 2025 is just a smoke and mirrors for possibly attacks onto other countries, just as Zapad 2021 was a precursor and preparation for the attack onto Ukraine from Russia, obviously, but also from Belarus, as we remember.
And how credible is it, Andrei? How credible is Moscow's claim that European countries are obstructing Ukraine-Russia dialogue? Is that an attempt to shift blame, or is there some real diplomatic friction there?
I do not believe that Russia or anyone in good belief would trust Russia in any way, right? Russia via Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov and all others were joking about when Western countries, including European states and the US, had warned that Russia is preparing to attack Ukraine. They were mocking the possibility and saying, these are just words that instill fear and they have no basis. I would put the same value onto what Russia is saying now, that it's European countries which prevent a peace agreement over Ukraine. No, it's Russia which has, over the last few days, continued killing Ukrainian civilians which were not embedded with the Ukrainian military in any way, as we've seen perhaps in Gaza, right, with Hamas terrorists embedded within the population as a strategic measure. It's not the same thing we've seen in Ukraine, pensioners waiting for their pensions in a queue, being hit in a cynical and deadly, sadly way by Russia, in a premeditated way, I would add. No, it's Russia which could, with the press of a button from President Putin, could stop the attacks on Ukraine and could really go back to a negotiating table in a meaningful way, trying to reach a settlement to this issue.
And Andrei, how might this, the drills with Belarus affect energy markets globally, especially in Europe, which remains sensitive to Russian energy disruptions?
So some European countries continue to depend on Russian oil and gas, particularly Hungary and Slovakia. Some others, there have been doubts expressed over the last couple of years, and more actually, ever since the invasion in February 2022, that other European states are continuing to buy Russian oil and gas via third parties, other countries that white label the oil and gas somehow. The decrease in oil cost has been detrimental to Russia, as we've discussed at the beginning of this conversation of ours, because this is what fuels Putin's army, really, and the entire economy, which is a war economy over the last 3.5 years. These exercises will not have a direct impact on the provisioning of oil and gas into the European states, which continue to buy Russian oil and gas, and the cost there should decrease because OPEC Plus has increased pumping oil and gas and refining oil and gas, which Russia is really adverse to and really views as a threat.
Okay. Andrei, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been most insightful. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has announced that he will present a policy of